Most people are taught directly or indirectly that success is a group project. Teachers reward collaboration. Society praises networking. Social media glorifies teams, mentors, and support systems. From childhood, dependence is framed as wisdom. Machiavelli saw through this illusion. He understood that support is never neutral. Every form of external help carries conditions, expectations, and future claims. What appears as kindness often becomes leverage. What begins as encouragement quietly turns into control. Those who rely on support inherit invisible chains, gratitude, that silences dissent, obligation, that limits ambition, fear of abandonment, that distorts decision-making. History confirms this pattern. The most resilient rulers, thinkers, and strategists were not protected by allies in their formative years. They were shaped by isolation, betrayal, and resistance. This is not romantic suffering, it is strategic hardening. To succeed with zero support is to operate without emotional safety nets. It forces clarity. It forces discipline. It forces competence. This article is a complete strategic manual for those rising alone. It combines Machiavellian realism, dark psychological observation, and Stoic endurance, not to make you cruel, but to make you unbreakable. Part I. Why no support is actually an advantage. Overview. Part I establishes the central thesis: lack of support is not a handicap, but a structural advantage. While most people experience isolation as injustice or failure, Machiavellian realism treats it as an environment that accelerates strength, clarity, and independence. This section dismantles the myths around support and shows how solitude, resistance, and neglect become strategic assets. Support creates psychological dependence. Support subtly rewires the human nervous system. When help is expected, the mind relaxes its vigilance. Risk assessment becomes sloppy, preparation becomes optional, responsibility becomes shared, and shared responsibility is diluted responsibility. Machiavelli warned rulers against mercenaries because mercenaries fight without existential stake. The same principle applies psychologically. When someone else carries part of your burden, your mind unconsciously delegates urgency. Modern support systems do this quietly. Family safety nets reduce urgency to master finances. Emotional reassurance delays emotional self-regulation. Social encouragement replaces objective self-assessment. Dependence does not feel like weakness, it feels like comfort. That is why it is dangerous. Those with support often mistake relief for progress. They move forward emotionally, not structurally. They feel better without becoming better. When support is removed, the shock is devastating. Skills were never built. Internal authority was never developed. Zero support prevents this illusion from forming in the first place. It forces you to become your own regulator, motivator, and stabilizer. This is not cruelty. It is adaptation. 2. Support corrupts decision-making. Where support exists, politics enters the mind. Decisions are no longer evaluated solely on effectiveness. They are filtered through questions of approval. Will this upset someone who helps me? Will I lose access if I choose this path? Will I appear ungrateful? Machiavelli understood that divided loyalty destroys power. A ruler who must constantly appease benefactors cannot rule decisively. In personal life, the same paralysis occurs. People with support often delay hard choices, compromise ambition, avoid necessary conflict. They choose paths that preserve relationships rather than paths that build strength. Those without support are brutally free. Every decision is judged by reality alone. Does this work? Does this increase leverage? Does this build capability? There is no audience, no reputation to protect, no gratitude to perform. This purity of decision-making accelerates growth. Isolation sharpens awareness. Support cushions perception. When life is padded, feedback arrives late and softened. Mistakes are excused. Weaknesses are reframed as phases. Isolation removes padding. Failure is immediate. Feedback is unforgiving. Reality responds without politeness. This sharpens awareness in 3 critical ways. First, self-awareness. You cannot outsource honesty. You confront your incompetence directly. This hurts, but it corrects. Second, social awareness. Without allies, you observe others carefully. You learn who exploits weakness, who respects strength, and who is irrelevant. This observational skill is a core Machiavellian asset. Third, environmental awareness. You notice incentives, power flows, and constraints. When no one protects you, you learn how systems actually function. Isolation turns perception into a weapon. 4. Pressure accelerates competence. Competence is forged under necessity, not motivation. People with support can afford inefficiency. They can afford procrastination. They can afford failure. People without support cannot. Every mistake carries cost. Financial, social, psychological. This cost enforces discipline. You prepare not because you feel inspired, but because failure threatens stability. Under these conditions, skills are learned deeply. Planning becomes precise habits. Solidify quickly. Machiavelli believed fear was a more reliable teacher than love. Not because fear is noble, but because fear produces consistency. Solitude builds internal authority. Support teaches people to look outward for permission. Isolation teaches people to consult themselves. When no one validates your choices, you are forced to develop an internal judge. What standards matter? What trade-offs are acceptable? What principles are non-negotiable? This internal authority is rare. Most people outsource judgment to crowds, mentors, or institutions. When those disappear, they collapse. Those raised in isolation do not. They move forward without consensus. Machiavelli valued rulers who could stand alone against opinion. The same trait defines individuals who rise without support. 6. Neglect creates strategic invisibility. One of the least discussed advantages of having no support is invisibility. When no one believes in you, no one monitors your progress, no one interferes with your plans, no one feels threatened by your growth. Machiavelli preferred unseen preparation over visible ambition. Visibility attracts resistance. Invisibility invites freedom. While others announce goals and seek encouragement, the unsupported individual works quietly. Progress compounds unnoticed. When results finally appear, they seem sudden and are therefore harder to stop. Isolation forces self-regulation. Without reassurance, you must process fear alone, stabilize doubt, internally recover from failure privately. This is painful, but it produces emotional armor. You learn that emotions are temporary signals, not commands. Machiavelli distrusted emotional volatility in leaders. Emotional self-sufficiency creates steadiness under pressure. Those who rise alone are rarely rattled. 8. No support eliminates entitlement. Support breeds expectation. Expectation breeds resentment. Those who receive help often feel owed continued assistance. When it stops, bitterness forms. Those who never had support expect nothing. Every gain feels earned. Every survival feels intentional. This mindset produces gratitude without dependence, and gratitude without dependence is strength. The psychological reframe, the final advantage, is perception. Once you understand that lack of support is training, not punishment, the emotional narrative changes. Isolation becomes a proving ground. Neglect becomes camouflage. Resistance becomes feedback. This reframe transforms suffering into strategy. Part I summary: no support does not weaken you. It removes illusions, sharpens perception, accelerates competence, builds internal authority, creates invisibility. Most people collapse without support. Part IA, Machiavelli's Principles of Self-Reliance Overview. Part IAA translates Machiavelli's core political principles into a personal doctrine of self-reliance. Machiavelli did not write for idealists. He wrote for survivors, rulers, and realists, those who understood that power must be stable, self-generated, and independent of goodwill. This section explains how Machiavellian self-reliance is built, why borrowed strength always collapses, and how to structure your life so that no single person, system, or emotion has leverage over you. Why power must originate from within. Machiavelli's most uncompromising rule was this: a prince must rely on his own arms. Mercenaries fail, allies betray, fortunes shift. Only internally generated power endures. In modern terms, this means your core strength must come from elements that cannot be revoked. Skills that produce value, knowledge that compounds, discipline that functions without supervision, emotional regulation under pressure. If your stability depends on others continuing to like you, fund you, or protect you, then you do not possess power, you are renting it. Rented power always comes with eviction risk. Those who rise alone learn this early. They do not wait for permission to grow strong. 2. The danger of borrowed strength. Borrowed strength feels powerful at first. Someone opens doors for you. Someone defends you. someone vouches for you. But borrowed strength creates three hidden dangers. First, illusion of competence protection hides weakness. You appear capable before you actually are. Second, delayed collapse when support disappears. The fall is sudden and severe. Third, permanent leverage. Those who helped you expect influence. Gratitude becomes a leash. Machiavelli observed that rulers elevated by others rarely survive long. Their authority is questioned because it did not emerge naturally. Self-made power commands instinctive respect. 3. Reduce dependencies. Ruthlessly, Machiavelli advised princes to reduce needs because needs invite control. Turns doubt into a strategic asset, not an emotional wound. Explains invisibility, silence, timing, and misjudgment in Machiavellian terms. Builds strong psychological continuity from part I, no support, and part I, Ede, self-reliance, perfectly suited for cold, authoritative voice over delivery.